Hello, guys. I finally got to see the new Pacific Rim movie, so here's my thoughts on Pacific Rim Downfall, and you heard me right. Downfall, because that's what it is, the downfall of a potentially great franchise. The best part of this movie, up front, was the beginning couple moments when they recap the first movie, and it's all downhill. It's all down Everest from there. We meet Strucker Pentecost's son, played by John Boyega, which I like John Boyega, but within the first few seconds, I hate this character. He's squatting where he can, kissing a bottle of hot sauce, and they go to steal Jaeger parts. Yeah, they're still tearing down and salvaging decommissioned Jaeger parts from the first movie, even though it's been so many years, and I was always under the impression there were never that many Jaegers to begin with because of how expensive they were. Then we meet this teenage girl who made her Michael Bay Transformer wannabe Jaeger, Scrapper. It even has a Transformer sounding name that kind of outruns and with John Boyega in it, another Jaeger, and well, John Boyega takes one of the power cells out to momentarily incapacitate the Jaeger. Yeah, smooth move. It only gave Scrapper about 40 seconds of power, and it still got caught anyway because the incapacitation only lasted for a few seconds. He gets offered a deal. You help train new cadets, you don't go to prison. The girl gets a similar deal because she made her own Jaeger and was stealing parts. You go to the cadet program, you won't go to prison. It's. The characters are just bad. Then we get a look at the new Jaegers, which, in all ways, from the new combat suits to the new Jaegers, they look like dollar store versions of the original. This was a good, solid, strong design for Gypsy Danger. Gypsy Avenger looks like the Chinese bootleg version of this toy. And even the fight scenes at times, like in this one, the Jaegers and Kaijus always had a sense of weight, and it's not that they don't in this, but at other times, it'll get knocked back and feel like this, like there's no real weight to them. A good example, when they're fighting the Black Jaeger on the ice, there's scenes where they're punching and hitting and going through the ice, and it's clear the ice really doesn't support their weight. And then one of them goes flying back in the air, lands on the ice, and doesn't fall right through. So it's very inconsistent with the feel of weight to the Jaegers in this film. The only one I halfway like of the new Jaegers is Guardian, that uses a whip type weapon, and I just call it Belmont, with a slight repaint to the color and calling it Belmont. It would have been a nice, appreciated reference to Castlevania. The plot twists in this movie are telegraphed from miles away. Newt, apparently, when he drifted with the kaiju brain, fell under the influence of the aliens known as the precursors. And why didn't the other doctor that drifted with him the second time? We're not given the answer. And he's preparing the world, preparing things to open a new breach, multiple breaches to release new kaiju. I'm going to get to this one in a minute. See, I got a map here. I want to demonstrate something to you. And I said that was telegraphed a mile away. Plus, Mako gets unceremoniously killed very fast in the movie. Where is Riley? Where's the Australian general? It's like they reference characters that survived in the first movie, but they don't tell us what happened to them. What happened to Riley and the other guy? These are questions you need to answer in your movie. I bet I know why Guillermo del Toro backed out now. He probably wanted to tell one movie, and the studio was forcing another movie, so he's like, well, you make your movie, let it bomb. I'm gonna go make The Shape of Water and win an Oscar. And he did, and deservingly so. I want to see that movie, and I'm glad he did that rather than getting stuck making this studio mandated dumpster fire of a sequel. Now, there's a plot with drone Jaegers, and when Newt activates them, they start opening breaches. I'll admit, the scene where the breach closes as one is halfway through and gets cut in half is pretty cool, but that's about it. And then 3 of them survive, so John Boyega, Scott Eastwood, which, Scott, no disrespect, but you're not going to be a patch on the actor your father is. You're barely supporting man material, let alone leading man material. And the cadets, including the teenage girl who I just didn't sympathize for, I didn't like the character. They set up that her and Boyega were drift compatible, which is like, she's gonna help him fight at the end. They telegraphed it too easily. Eventually, Newt releases these things, I don't know what they are, that allow the kaiju to fuse together, and from that point, it's just, this is what it's like, the kaiju fighting the Jaegers. He just rips them to shreds. And it turns out the plot is the kaiju want to go to the summit of Mount Fuji to jump in because of how combustible their blood is with rare earth elements and ignite the entire Pacific Rim, terraforming the world for the precursors. Now look, this is a map of the Pacific Rim in the movies. This dot here is the breach. Japan is right around there. I wish I could do this better, but you know where Japan is on a map. The first kaiju landed in San Francisco, and it took 2 or 3 days to destroy it, I can't remember. But yet, the breach is so close to Japan. There could not have been a more indirect route to Japan they could have taken, and I think if it took that long for our military to destroy it, and I'm not knocking the Japanese self-defense forces, but it is a smaller military, so it would be harder for them to fight the thing, that thing could have made it to Fuji. Scott Eastwood gets injured, and the girl has to pilot with him. And they do find a contrived way to destroy it with getting that stupid scrapper on the field. Basically, they weld a rocket to its arm. It goes into space in perfect analogy for the series, just onto the kaiju. And when it gets to the summit of Mount Fuji, oh boy, this hurt my brain. They're at the summit. It's wide open. You can see the lava in it, and the lava's about that far from the surface, and yet there's still snow on the mountain. You know, when you look at pictures of volcanoes that have been active, as they're active, you start seeing less and less snow on the mountain, and if it was that close to the surface, there would be no snow on that mountain. And the movie Even though Scott Eastwood's totally messed up, Newt has a backup plan and he still has enough time to punch him in the face. And we get a sequel tease I hope we never get, where John Boyega comes and tells him, "You don't have to worry about them coming to us. We're taking the fight to them." Oh boy, rip off the second Independence Day movie as if that was a good movie. Oh, and then I'll say this, one cool thing I did like with Newt, we do see he's not totally in control and the kaiju the precursors are controlling him. He has a kaiju brain in his apartment, which the drones are controlled by kaiju brains too, but there are points where he admits he's not doing this of his own action, and then there's points where we hear the precursors talk through him, and it's just so bad. Plus, also, the way they butchered the Pacific Rim theme in this movie. You barely hear the theme in the movie, and when you do, it's this atrociously grating remix. On a scale of F to A+, and that's going to be my rating system I'm going to stick with, I give this movie Kill It With Fire. It's a needless sequel that was rushed out to make money and had no need to exist. Well, that's my review. I'll see you in a couple days when I review True Grit, a movie I like. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Over and out.